everyone. Welcome to the Top Table Talk. We are back again for another interesting, very interesting week of football results. Not good for us, Newcastle United boys, but some very happy faces below us. But welcome all. We've got the Winter Surfer, Chelsea fan, in making his debut. How are you, fella?
I'm just chilling. You know what I mean? It's just another dub. You know what I mean? Just another dub. You know what I mean? It's always, Charlie will know this. There's something, although I don't see them as big rivals, there's just something in our fan base when we beat Spurs and just having to hear them make excuses about why they lost. It's just like, I mean, it's lovely. Do you know what I mean? It's lovely. But I'm all good. And thank you for the invite. But make sure people are watching, like the video and subscribe. You know what I mean? Let's do
Appreciate
this.
That. Andrew said it's it's a great feeling, Charlie. Is it that chef's kiss? I'm sure we'll get into it in a second. How you feeling, fella?
Yeah, mate, it's always an enjoyable one. I always say it's the best away day of the season if you win, and if you lose, it's the absolute worst one. So, I mean, luckily, you know, we got another positive result there. Even if we made it a little bit difficult for ourselves in the first sort of 10 minutes or so. But yeah, no, mate, feeling's good at the club, feeling's good amongst the fan base, and we're just quietly going about our business.
Definitely. And Wolfie's in the house. Big win. Great to have you with this fella. Smiling. You bounced on tonight, mate. I'm not gonna lie,
mate. It's the team I hate the most, more than any other. 30 years I've been waiting since Collymore and Pierce gave me joy with that one 30 years ago. I love it. And the meltdown, boys. The meltdown in that entitled fan base. Oh,
another one.
I'm sorry.
The winner. You boys should really be on the bottom row, to be honest.
We should. Yeah,
he only turns up when they win. He only turns up when they win.
The helicopter.
Charlie, we're here whenever called upon. You boys, shout out to you. Obviously, you're contractually obliged to be here. I get it. This man down here.
Wolfie, I was here last week, mate. I was
Did
down
you
and
last
depressed. No. We've only had you with 2 games.
I thought you won 3-0 last week.
No.
Midweek we won 3-1.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Pete, you're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
What?
Liverpool. I told you you wouldn't lose.
Right, that's true.
I told you. I mean, I didn't talk to you about the game of the weekend, but
you boys should be thankful to Forest, because if United had won that game, you'd have been 14th.
I'm not gonna lie. I think we're all a bit like that, boys, weren't we? We're a bit like we're a little bit relieved that they got the points.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
Yeah, definitely.
Your boy Anderson. Oh God, man. He'd walk into your team. I'm not even lying.
Are you purposely trying to wind me up, mate?
I'm just being honest, mate. You know me. I just got to speak what I think.
Lots of games to talk about. Lots of results to talk about. Winners, of course, at the top of the tree. I'm going to come to that game, Super Sunday. I have to start there, boys. I'm not going to lie. Other than probably the Liverpool game on Wednesday, it's probably the most enjoyable game of football that I've watched all season. It was a fantastic game. Tottenham against Chelsea at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We've got the Winter Surfer. We've got Charlie, the Blue Brother in the house. You guys must be on absolute cloud 9 right now after that result. And it didn't start well either. It started a little bit techie, and then you managed to pull it out. But boys, just talk to us about how you're feeling and your thoughts going through that game against Tottenham.
I don't know about Charlie, because Charlie was there, right? You were there, Charlie, weren't you? So,
yeah.
I think, like you said, we had a very sloppy start. Obviously went 2-0 down, but until when Sancho scored, let's just preface this. Actually, at 2-0, I didn't actually at 2-0. I still felt we would get back into it. I just felt we would. But as soon as Sancho scored, we owned the game. As soon as Sancho scored, even going in at 2-1 half time, we owned them. We owned Spurs anyway, but we owned them. And then Maresca makes, and we had a few chances. I know they had a couple of chances after that. They could have made it 3-0 and stuff like that, but shoulda, woulda, couldas, right? And for anyone who says it, Caicedo, Caicedo's probably lucky he did stay on the field. He's probably lucky that didn't go up to VAR. But then Kulusevski did some John Jones MMA bullshit to, MMA stuff to Lavia, the side of his head. So I don't know if that evens itself out. Actually cut it. Yeah, there's a picture of it's actually cut. Yeah, it actually gave him so proper. Yeah, he's got. I don't know. He's got like some vibranium elbow or something. He's just bloody cut him open there. But Maresca made the changes. The difference between the big difference was on the sideline because Maresca made changes at half time. Took Lavia off, who was already booked, but I think they just took him off for precaution anyway. Yeah. Switched Caicedo into the middle, put Gusto on to stop anything going on down the left. Switched Badiashile to the left-hand side and Cole to the right-hand side. And then we dominate. Even up to the penalty, we had many chances, but it just I don't know what the half-time Dean talk was for Spurs because it wasn't even half-time team. Since 17th minute, I do not know what they were trying to do in terms of like how to play us. They just up until the goal, the possession stats I think was 85% in our favour. Something like that, up until that. And yeah, they gave away 2 penalties, but we were battering them. I mean, Sancho had a chance, Gusto had a chance. You know, we just Forster was their man of the match by far. He kept them in. I don't. People trying to Spurs missed 5 big chances, but your goalkeeper's man of the match. Yeah, your goalkeeper's your man of the match.
He made a monster save against Jackson.
Yeah, exactly. He's been actually, since he's actually come in, you should be thankful for Forster for you guys not being battered so much. Because I think you guys should have lost by a hell of a lot more goals than you have been doing. But no, we got the penalty. It was a rightful penalty. I don't know what Basuma's doing. And then the third goal, Palmer's twisting them all up, and then Enzo nods in off the deflection. And that can I just say, that Sarr challenge for that second penalty. He's going he's going to the corner flag. He's literally going to the corner flag. I mean, before that penalty, I don't know. Charlie must be going, where's Palmer going? Where's he going? Why is he going to the corner flag? And then to take the Panenka penalty, to have the moxie to do that when we're only 3-2 up. We're not like 4-2 up at the time. We're only 3-2 up at the time. To do that, yeah, but it's just one of those performances that, I'm glad they showed the mentality because last season, I think if we'd had gone 2-0 down at Spurs, I think the heads would have dropped last season and we probably would have lost that game. And that's one of the big differences this year. Whenever we've had adversity, whenever we've gone down, it's probably since the Wolves game, I've just seen a different reaction to them. I've just seen the manager when he needs to, and we've seen it. I know Charlie would agree. The second half performance is so much different than last season in terms of how we come out. We come out more productive. We come out wanting to take the game. And just overall, just brilliant performances. Cucurella, when he changed to the rightful boots, didn't put a foot wrong. After that, he was good.
Was he wearing sliders before that? What was the story?
I don't know what it was.
I presume the studs that he had in his boots were just too short or something. I don't know.
That was Sancho's probably best performance in England for an English club.
Not hard though, is it?
No, I know, but he's doing what people recognised him. That game yesterday, he was doing stuff like what people were watching when he was at Dortmund the first time, when he was in the Champions League. And yeah, just an all-round, very, very, very good performance, very, very good comeback. 4-3, I think, flat as Spurs, in my opinion. That was, if people were just looking at the scoreline, they would have said it, it's a very close game. Scoreline-wise, yeah, but we are miles ahead of them. We are in the table. We're about 12 points ahead of them now, but there's a huge difference on the pitch and off the pitch. And I don't know what he's trying to do or what he's trying to install into the players, but I swear he doesn't know how to. He doesn't coach defense. He doesn't coach them defensively. I'm pretty sure he doesn't do that now because some of the decisions they were making out the defense. I mean, any manager would have seen how they like to invert their fullbacks, and Porro and Udogie. and basically leave just the two centre backs by themselves. But so much, especially on that pitch, so much space on the wings. I mean, I thought actually Udogie did well against Neto, but on the left hand side, we absolutely brutalised them. You know, but that's But if anyone's been watching me speak on the previous, the history with this, I always tell people, no matter what Spurs are doing, whether they're doing well, whether they're doing badly, whether they start well in the match, whatever, that club, when it comes to our club, they just cannot figure us out. It's like someone's telling them 2 + 2 = 5. They just can't figure us. They just can't figure us out. We own them. Before 2006. They didn't beat us in any competition for 16 years in any fixture. And even now at that new stadium, I think we played 8 games and won 6 of them out of 8. And one of the games we did lose was in the League Cup on a penalty shootout. There's just something when it comes to Spurs. Myself, I look at the fixture list and I go 6 points.
Yeah,
I just do.
Charlie, we'll come to you because I know you're at the game. Obviously, you were in the atmosphere. I've seen some of the videos as well and your reactions too. You know, Andrews gave a great assessment, to be fair, from a viewer watching the game, but you were there. What was it like for you, mate? Because it was a fantastic game first and foremost, but to see your boys dominate the way you did, you must be absolutely buzzing with that.
Yeah, I mean the atmosphere is always great there. I mean I'd be lying if it didn't go a little bit flat when we were 2 down, because I don't think we expected to be in that situation. And then you sort of have little doubts creeping in, going, "Oh, this is another big game that Chelsea might not win this season." Every big game we've had, we've not won. Those thoughts do creep in. But as Andrew touched on, that the difference of this team is, right, every time we've gone behind in a game this season, we've hit back really quickly. And you know, within 5 or 6 minutes, we'd half the deficit. You know, Sancho with the brilliant goal. And then from that point onwards, you know, I always felt we were going to get something out of the game. Spurs are so open; they give you so many opportunities. The midfield was non-existent; they leave so much space in behind the fullbacks. And when you've got an attack that is free scoring like ours, we're top scorers in the league. I think we've got 35 goals in the league this season. You're going to get punished. Obviously, it helps you out when you've got players like Basuma and Sarr making brain-dead decisions in the box, but you've still got to take advantage of those moments. But the big difference, I think, in this year of the team is the mentality, because as Andrew touched on, like last season or the season before, whatever, if we'd gone 2 down, heads would have dropped, and there's no belief we're getting back into that game. But we go 2 down yesterday. Everyone's staying calm. Maresca's calm on the touchline. We believe in what we're doing. The players believe in the plan. They believe in their ability, and they know they're going to get the opportunities. It's just whether it was just a question of how many goals are we going to score, rather than can we get back into this game. There was no doubt in my mind we were going to get back into the game, and ultimately the quality just shone through at the end of the day. We got better players than them. We're a better team than them, and we fully exposed them. As expected, you know, their weaknesses we took full advantage of, and really, at the end of the day, they're just not a very good team. They went 2 up because obviously Cucurella had his ice skates on in the first 15 minutes. But even with him falling over, though, we probably should have still defended a little bit better. I think Colwell could have done better for that first goal, and maybe we should have shown Kulusevski down the line for the second one rather than allowing him to cut inside. But once he made the changes at half time, Gusto coming on, switching Badiashile and Colwell around, we looked a lot more comfortable at the back. And if it wasn't for Cucurella's slip, Spurs created next to nothing. They had a shot from Son in the first half, which went just over the bar. Other than that, I'm struggling to think of any clear-cut chance they had.
Is that the offside one?
What, the Son over the bar? No, that was
Do you reckon that would have stood if it scored it?
I don't know. See, my thing is, I don't think it was, because Udogie's going towards the ball still, even when Son takes over the ball. So he doesn't know Son's taking over the ball. So I would have thought they would have, in my opinion, they should have flagged it.
Obviously, in your opinion, man.
I think. Listen, it would have been straight. I don't know. You can. The thing about this is, like I always say with VAR, it's not the system; it's who's running VAR at the time. What their opinion is. Like with the Caicedo things and the Kulusevski things, they weren't brought up. So it's like, I don't know whether they would have said Udogie was interfering with play or he was going towards it. I don't know. These guys are strange that run
Can we ask them the question, Pete?
Well, this is what I was going to come to next. So look,
It's in the chat.
It was going to be the question. Daz put it up on the screen. Wolfie, you asked the question. Go for it.
Charlie, Andrew, are you in a title race?
No, we're not.
No.
Get that chest out.
No, but we're not though, and the reason why
you're wearing that chest, Charlie, but come on, man.
The reason why we're not is because we're only 4 or 5 months into Maresca's into the Maresca.
How long slot into his one then? I assume you're going to say
Slot's
not in the title race.
But he's got the same squad. They've got the same squad 5 or 6 years together.
You got a bigger squad, £1 billion squad, mate. You should be
we're not part of contenders because we haven't got the experience. These players have not played in big enough. A lot of these players, their biggest game in their careers was the Carabao Cup final last season. We don't have that know-how yet, and we just haven't had the time together.
Are you scared to say you're in a title race? Is that what it is?
No, but we're not. If we get to February or March time, and the gap is say 4 to 6 points, then it's a different.
Charlie, I'm embarrassed for you. I'm embarrassed.
No, because I'm keeping my expectations.
So you're basically saying Liverpool have won the league.
No, I'm not saying that.
You're not. Okay, then who's in the title race? Enlighten us.
That's Forest, obviously.
I'll have to say factually, we're still in the title race mathematically. Who's in the title race, Charlie? If Liverpool haven't got the title, who's in the title race?
I would still say that Man City have got half a chance. And
so Man City, who are what, 4 points behind you, are in the title race.
But let's be real.
Do you know how to count?
They'll get themselves together. Look, I think we could potentially finish second or third. I don't think we finish above Arsenal and City. I think we finish above one of those teams. But look, of course, the more games that go by, the more games that we win, and the further into the season we get, it becomes harder to play that down. But I don't think we need to be putting that pressure on ourselves. Like everyone's desperate for Chelsea fans to say they're in the title race so that they can then tear it down when we lose a few results and then we're suddenly
That's what you're scared about, the reaction. You're scared about the reactions.
I honestly don't believe we're in a title race. We're playing really good football, but no one honestly believes that Chelsea are going to challenge for the league.
That means Liverpool are in the league.
I know that Andrew's got something that he wants to say on that, but Daz, Rich, I want to come to you on your thoughts about it.
Hook him, Daz. Hook him.
Hook him in the title race. Let's just play this out right now. I'm just looking at the league table. You're second. You're 4 points behind Liverpool, albeit they've got a game in hand, a tough game, the Merseyside derby. You're 2 points ahead of Arsenal. You're 4 points ahead of Man City. You've got a monster squad that you can chop and change. Like Rich, looking at looking at all of these things, surely they've got to be in the title race. Sure.
Yeah, no, they are. And look at Liverpool. Only Wolfie's Forest, and ourselves have laid the glove on Liverpool.
And Arsenal.
But,
yeah.
I mean, I know you're trying to put yourself in our bracket, but if you're going to bring us, you might as well bring Arsenal in there as well.
Yeah, okay, we'll give Arsenal as well. But so look, they can be got at, and so I definitely wouldn't rule it out, Andy and Charlie. No, you are playing really, really well. It was the fear that we all had that once Chelsea clicked, that they would kick on, and it's starting to come together for you. So yeah, no, I think you are in a title race, and I'm glad you are, because it makes it a bit more interesting as well. I would rather, if between yourselves and Liverpool, I would rather see you win it. To tell you the truth, just to be less painful for me.
I just find it embarrassing. I mean, I guarantee if Rich was sitting on 31 points right now with Villa, and I asked him that question, you'd just say yes. There wouldn't be this whole spiel and everything, would there, Rich?
No, I was just about to say.
How did you chance, Charlie? Let Rich talk now.
I was just about to say that I said it 3 or 4 weeks ago that Villa were in the title race.
You did.
And then then Villa got absolutely cooked. But look, Chelsea are in the title race. There's no doubt about it. Probably the two positions, and they are extremely important positions that they are maybe slightly lacking in, is the goalkeeping department and the striker. But and Kunku's coming in now, getting more minutes in the Premier League. They've got so many options to change it up. The coach looks good. The players look to be buying into what he's saying, that they've got that bit of character about them. And yeah, they might be able to get over the fact that the goalkeeper isn't top class just by the fact that they'll just continue to win games. So 100% in the title race. I guess the games against Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal will be the key games. But yeah, absolutely. Where's Deji? Where's Deji? Is he not in tonight?
He's away.
I took him on Dan Potts' channel.
I want a petition started to get Tottenham removed from this Big Six. I mean, what is this Big Six? I need Aston Villa or Nottingham Forest to be adding into the Big Six.
No, you've replaced. I think Spurs have lost their place in the traditional Big Six. Now Villa can have that spot.
It can't. Excuse me? What have they ever done, Tottenham? Like, what have they ever done?
If we go down this rabbit hole, we'll be here for like 16 hours if we go through this.
But he's right. He's right.
I'll ask a Spurs-related question then.
No, he's right.
Should Ange get the sack?
Not before the 26th.
Okay.
I mean, I would say yes, but I think the problems are far bigger than the managers. As you see, they've gone through all different types of managers, and they're just ending up with the same result. They're literally not going anywhere. I honestly don't think Tottenham will actually really make any progress as a football club until Daniel Levy leaves, and that's the reality of the situation. I've had all types of managers, all different styles. They play different ways of football. Nothing's working. And the one common denominator is him. So I think until he goes, they're just going to go round in circles and not really move anywhere.
Charlie, I disagree completely. He's not the common denominator. It's Spurs.
It's also Spurs. Yeah, of course it is. It's ingrained in the mentality.
It's Spurs. I love it, man.
But I do think
I hate them and I love it.
But I do think they would have more chance of actually doing something if Levy was gone.
What would they do?
The problem is as well. Yeah, I think he's put a lot of money in, but the problem is with this manager in particular, I don't think he will get the sack. But if you continually praise players for doing apparently what you've asked them to, which is make ridiculous challenges in the box, not marking your men when they're running through, playing a ridiculously high line that you're not paying any attention to who's marking, not doing anything on set pieces, then what do you expect? Like, it just seems like it's completely anti-coaching. Like, surely coaching is about looking at your weaknesses game to game, looking at the opposition, what they do game to game, and then making the adjustments accordingly. I don't understand what he's trying to do. Is it like stubbornness? Is it, he's so determined to get this way of playing that he doesn't want to admit that he's wrong? Like, I don't understand it, because to me, it's the same with the Southampton coach. It's the same with all these fly-by-night coaches that come in. Like, that's not good. To just play one way of football is not good coaching. That is not a good coach. A good coach is someone who looks at the opposition, looks at the players that they've got, and adapts their style to either match the players that they've got or match the opposition that they're playing against, and then make the right adjustments accordingly, and obviously improve players as well at the same time. So I don't understand it myself.
Rich is spot on, because I think yesterday's game epitomized everything you need to know about Spurs. I don't think there's a single coach who goes 2-0 up against a Chelsea who are in decent nick and thinks, right, let's keep going. What I want these journalists that never ask the managers the right question to ask Ange is, how many goals does he want in a game? What is his satisfaction level? Because what was he going for? 3, 4, 5, 7, 10? Who knows? It's like, take your 2-0, drop your line 10 yards, put a midfielder in if you need to, and just take the 3 points and move on.
Game management, shocking. It's awful. There's no, like, if you're 2-0 up in a big game, you don't just keep going for it. Why don't you drop back a little bit, tighten the game up, sit in for a little bit, frustrate the opposition? They're going to have to come out and do more to try and get back into the game. And then you've got opportunities to pick them off on the break. Spurs got one way of playing, and he doesn't change. And he seems to be happy with that. And it's a sign of a not very good manager if you are unable to change the way that you play. You can have a main system or whatever, fine, but you've got to be adaptable in game and change to what the situation warrants. And Right now, every time you watch Tottenham play, no matter what's happening in the game, they play the same way every single time. And there's not one brand of football fits all situations. You have to be adaptable. And Andrew has shown he's not adaptable as a manager. And that Tottenham are going absolutely nowhere after him. They arguably, since we beat them 4-1 last season when they were unbeaten in their first 10 games, they've never really recovered from that. And they just haven't gone anywhere. They're a mid-table team now. I don't know what they are. Apart from being shit, I don't know. I actually don't know what they are.
Their recruitment's not been good either.
It's crap. It's crap.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Solanke, and Solanke will score the odd goal here and there for them.
65 mil though, one season is mental.
He ain't worth 65. Even when he was with us, when we heard the price, it was like, nah, that ain't the type of price. But
50 mil on Jono.
Chelsea boys, I know you need to go.
Yeah.
But
I just need to say we are in a title race. We are in a title race, in my opinion.
Well done.
Just because
Charlie
I said title race. My opinion on winning the title, I don't think we are there yet.
That's fine.
But my thing is that but other Chelsea fans have said, "Oh, but maybe next year we'll be in it." But if we're not in it this year, then why would we need the experience of being in a title race for you to say we're going to? I'm not saying it to you, Charlie, but general Chelsea fans to say we're going to be in a title race next year. And also, Chelsea fans should want to talked about being in a title race for as long as possible, because it achieves our main objective of what we wanted anyway, to finish in the top 4, right? To get that done. I don't know whether we get to January undefeated or we get to and they act on it. Whether I don't think they'll sign a goalkeeper, but maybe they'll bring in a centre back or something like that. But as of right now, we have to say we're in the title race, because if people are saying Man City are in a title race and Arsenal are still in a title race, then we have to be on there. We're second at the moment. I know Liverpool have got a game in hand, but I have no idea when that game is going to be and if that game in hand is even going to matter.
That'll be a midweek at some point, I thought.
That'll be March. It won't be till like February or March or something, because January's packed out. So I think we are in a title race. Whether we can continue with it, I don't know. But I think you'll see us be the ultimate flat track bullies this season. I think we'll beat who we're supposed to beat, and the games against Man City, Liverpool, and Arsenal will determine what we can do this season.
I thought you were meant to beat us, though.
Huh?
We will at the City ground.
Hey, you beating United and Liverpool, taking a point of view, I see is a good thing. So I'm fine with that. Yeah, it's like Bournemouth. We've beaten Bournemouth. They've beaten Arsenal, Spurs, and
you were lucky against Bournemouth.
We were lucky, but we
were, but we still got those 3 points, and that's all that matters to me. Do you know what I mean? I'll be lucky all I want.
Not everyone can be Forest.
Hey, you.
That's true.
What are you not even doing on this show? You're in the bottom half.
Right, Charlie, Andrew. Big thanks for you coming in and joining. I know it was only short-lived, and look, we'll be back with you guys really soon to make sure
we'll be back next week, and we'll show you how to beat Brentford.
We'll ask you the same question, mate. Charlie will ask you the same question.
Join the club.
Andrew,
yeah. Cheers, lads. Nice one.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, lads.
I was about to say we'll show you how to beat Leicester, but I imagine most teams have done that, or have they? I'm not quite sure. And I think I've disappeared. There I am.
There you are. You're back.
Actually, did Chelsea beat Leicester? Was it a draw?
No, they beat them. They beat them 2-1.
Doesn't matter. We've just got to beat Leicester. That's all. But
you got Leicester next. Ooh.
Yeah, we are. We've got Marty for the Mancunian way. Good for you to join us, mate. We're going to move on to Villa next. Aston Villa finally got their win. Back-to-back win, should I say, after a run of games where they weren't picking up points. I've got to be honest, I thought it'd be a little bit more comfortable in terms of scoreline than the 1-0, but I imagine you're not really too fussed about that, just getting the points on the board. But what I was interested in, before you share your thoughts, Rich, is Duran starting and scoring and looking like a very much more reliable frontline striker in his performance. But what did you make of what you saw from Villa, mate?
I think it was just important to get back-to-back wins. That was the important thing. Southampton, I said it before the game. We knew exactly how they're going to play. We knew what chances they would give up. We knew that they would try and play, or what is quoted as good football. But we knew exactly what they would do, and they are very, very good at playing in the middle of the pitch, the kind of the middle thirds of the pitch. But in both boxes, they make mistakes, and they don't finish. They didn't create any big chances at all. They had a couple of crosses that flashed across the box, one deflected shot, but nothing else. Their approach play great, got some good young players. But apart from that, they're essentially going to go down off the back of playing some good football. And that, to me, is on the coach, who is only in it for himself and has no concern about how to keep his team up or to learn anything about adapting to keep him in the Premier League. He's thinking, if I play like this, Pep likes me, Unai Emery's complimented me, I'll get a job like Vincent Kompany did somewhere else. That's all he's interested in. In terms of Villa, we had a really, really, really good performance against Brentford. I was very worried about that game. First half was excellent. Second half, we came through and just got the job done. Tyrone Mings played a huge part in that win, being back at the back, talking, communicating, encouraging, leading the players. As I said on the show last week, that's what we needed. And then against Southampton, he made some changes. He brought Duran on, he scored, but look, Ollie Watkins is not to be discounted, because Ollie Watkins was fantastic against Brentford, and he was up there with the man of the match in that game. But yeah, he's right in what you're saying. When he came on against Southampton, he should have had 2 or 3 goals. He was very wasteful. His decision making was poor. But while Duran is a brilliant finisher and is a ruthless finisher, in terms of his overall game, he's still nowhere near Ollie Watkins in terms of what he brings to the team. But it's great to have both of them as an option. It's brilliant. We just need to find a way of using John Duran more, rather than bringing him on for 20 minutes to go and trying to tell him to win the game for us. We need to find games where he's going to start and games where Watkins is going to start. But yeah, great to get back. A mini revival, I say, because we've got a huge game on Saturday after tomorrow's game against Leipzig. A top 6 battle now against Forest. And it's going to be a big game, because we beat Brentford, but we still have been found wanting against some of the bigger teams in this league. And I'll class Nottingham Forest as one of those. At the moment, they are, but they're a very, very, very good side. So if we can get a result there, get a win there, then I will say we'll kind of back in that top 4 race. But at the moment, we're still kind of flattering to deceive in terms of that respect.
It's not too bad. Looking at the league table, you're on the same points as Forest. You're 6th in the table. You got an opportunity with potentially going into the top 4, depending on results at the weekend. Considering you went a number of games without a win, it's not a bad position to be in coming into a busy fixture period. I mean, don't expect anything on Boxing Day, but
well, I'm not. I'm absolutely not. But you're right in what you're saying. Context is everything, right? Isn't it? And the 3 of the games that we lost were Chelsea away, Liverpool away, and I know I've slagged them off, but Tottenham away. So they are all tough away games. The 2 games that were disappointing was conceding the last kick of the game goal against Bournemouth, and then obviously drawing against Crystal Palace at home. So it's all if, buts and maybes. But if you win those 2 games, then the 3 defeats aren't, you just kind of brush them off as expected. But it was the level of performance that worried me. It was more the lack of effort, the lack of leadership. So I'm glad that the players, and John McGinn said it himself, went back to basics a bit, just concentrating on what they're good at. And it started to get a couple of results now. Obviously now we've got Forest, Man City, Newcastle and Brighton. 4 huge games. So that will
Newcastle, Rich.
Yeah, so away to Forest and Newcastle, home to Man City and Brighton. So
you got them on Boxing Day.
Newcastle Boxing Day, yeah.
Don't worry about that, mate. Ask them how they play on Boxing Day.
Ah, don't start. Don't start. You got lucky last year. But no, look, Villa are back to their best. Does anyone think that the Champions League kicking back in is going to be maybe a little bit of a distraction, or do you think this is where Villa will maybe kick on at this point?
I think it's fascinating that they're back where they are, and it just shows you this league, man. You were down. What did you go down to, Rich? About 11th, wasn't it? Or something,
I think it was 12th. I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was 12.
Guys.
Honestly, I can't keep reading. It just feels like a championship table. You just put a string of 2 or 3 together, and you shoot right up there. I think I need to take my own advice here, but even when your team loses a game or 2 in a row, you're still not out of it currently. Do you know what I mean?
No.
It's hard. It's hard to detach yourself from that feeling of pain, but no one is being consistent right now apart from Liverpool, and it's making for a fascinating league. It really is. But yeah, what's been the change though, Rich, this last week? Has there been a formation change, or who's triggered these points? I know you played 2 shitty clubs, but
Boubacar Kamara coming back to fitness and form, he's huge for Aston Villa, and I would say he's our best. Obviously, Emi Martinez is unbelievable goalkeeper, but Boubacar Kamara is probably our best player in the squad. He just wins the ball. He can drive with it. He can drop into position. He gives other players security, whether that be Matty Cash at right back, Leon Bailey to drive and just stay forward. The midfielders to run on like John McGinn or Morgan Rogers. So he's massive for us to keep. We just have to keep him fit in by any way, shape, or form. We have to keep him fit because he's brilliant. And as I said, in terms of that particular game on the Wednesday against Brentford, Tyra Mings coming back in was huge because he's the only player who will have a go at the other players, who will encourage or bollock them or whatever. And they needed that. And against Forest, obviously, against Southampton, yes, we made some changes, probably with one eye on this Champions League game coming up tomorrow, and then Nottingham Forest on Saturday. But just to get that win under the belt, get a fast start, be 3-0 up at half time, I think that made a huge that was a big difference. Just starting the game well as well. But yeah, Boubacar Kamara is huge for us. He's an absolutely fantastic footballer.
Definitely. Martin, what's your opinions on Aston Villa? Are they a team that are going to be threatening for that top 4? Obviously, you guys are in that mix as well.
Yeah, they could be. I did say it depends on the Champions League to deal with that. Now, obviously, they've done very well in it, but it can take your focus away from the Premier League a little bit. It can. You've got to get used to that balance week in, week out. It's fascinating because Chelsea have sort of come in and sort of disrupted it a little bit. Forest are up there. So personally, I think top 4 will be too hard for them this season. Only because you've got I think Liverpool, Arsenal, ourselves, and Chelsea are probably going to get it in the end, because I don't see City being as bad forever. We will get going. I think top 6 is a very realistic goal for Villa. I do like Unai Emery. I think he's a very, very good manager, very underrated manager. Very surprised, United never had a look at him. But, I think top 6 would be a sensible finish for Villa.
Yeah. Fifth might even get Champions League this year. Fifth might even get
on the coefficient at the moment, yeah.
So would it in everybody's eyes right now, would if 5th was Champions League, would everyone say that Villa were the sort of the favourites for that position?
No.
Wolfie wouldn't, would he?
No.
Look, I think Villa need to prove themselves against, like we did last season, and it was some of the lower teams that we dropped points against. But we obviously beat Arsenal. We beat Arsenal twice last season. We beat Manchester City once. We had some other big results across this. We beat Tottenham once. So we had some big results last season, but this season we haven't really turned up against the so-called big boys. So that's where I think we're left wanting a little bit. We played well against Arsenal. We played well against Liverpool away, but I want to see us win a big game, and I class this Saturday as one of those.
I'd say, Pete, it's going to chop and change. It'll keep chopping and changing right through till around April. May become a bit clearer then, but it's too inconsistent now. Everyone's dropping points all over the place.
Definitely. But Villa are back on form again. Like I say, you got some tough games, so Villa will definitely be a close watch over the Christmas period. That's for sure. I'm going to move swiftly on to Old Trafford on Saturday. Man United against Forest, because that smile on Wolfie's face hasn't left him since 7:30 Saturday evening. And not only did you do us a favour, I imagine, Martin, you were smiling a little bit when you saw that result pop up Saturday evening. Great result.
Beating Forest in for everyone.
I knew he's going to squeeze that in. I knew
You're right. We could agree with that. Yes.
Beating Forest in for everyone.
All right, cool. I mean, no one cares about that game. Not even your fans cared, man. Your stadium was half empty. So we can talk about United, though. See you later, Rich. But
See you Saturday, Wolfie.
See you later, mate. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, bud. Have a good one. But Martin, would you agree with me? Have you ever seen a more entitled fan base than that scum that resides at Old Trafford? Honestly, I can't stand them. All predicting, easy walkover. Scammerim is in now. Everything's all rosy. And, the world is all better now because they got rid of Ten Hag. And then they changed the narrative. Full time, they were actually blaming the wind. Some sects of the fan base, that storm really affected the way we were passing the ball. And they can't bring themselves to blame the manager, so they turned on the players now, blaming the players. So which one is it? If it's the players, that means Ten Hag wasn't your problem, United fans. If it's the manager, you're not going to call out his dumbass tactics. He probably took off their best player on the day. I hate to say it was probably Bruno, subbed him off. And then they just couldn't handle our tactics. We just gave them the ball knowing that they could do nothing with it. And Onana, they've been praising him all season. All I keep hearing about is Onana and his clean sheets, man. He literally got out of the way of the ball. Morgan Gibbs cannot shoot. Right, I love him. He's one of my favorite players. He can't shoot. And the one time he's hit the target was a grass cutter from 25 yards out in the middle of the goal. And Onana's like, is that my job today? I ain't doing that. Just got out of the way. It was hilarious, boys. It was hilarious. Like, I couldn't have dreamed of funnier goals. The third one, Cristiano Ronaldo. He's basically nodding it back across goal. And they do the same again. It's like Christmas, man. They just open the door so you can unwrap the presents. Buddy, that dwarf, what's his face, Martinez, the butcher, they call him, at the back post. He too got out of the way. It's like, oh shit, that's gone in. I loved every second of it. Second of it.
I'll be honest, I'm not a massive fan of Martinez. I know some people like him. He's decent on the ball, but I'm not a massive fan. I've got to say, and he was made to look really, really average.
You see the height difference on the first one between him and Milenkovic? It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. But as Ant said in the chat, I gave, for the first time in my life, I've given a non-Forest player man of the match. I gave it to Onana. Did you boys see what he did at the end with that free kick? Where he put the ball down on the halfway line. The ref told him, move it back. He moves back, tosses it forward, send it back. He wasted 45 seconds positioning it. Then the wind blows it anyway to the halfway line. And then he shanks his long ball pretty much out of play. Boys, it was, I loved it. And the tears of that fan base, I'm still soaking them in. There's so many little shitty Man U channels that I've been watching just to absorb it in, man. So many. I'm just loving it. I've got a whole week. I don't need to start focusing on Villa till Thursday. So I've still got plenty more days.
Wolfie, we all know that the main problem at Man United was their sporting director, which they paid us $1 million a month to capture.
And we knew it was more than 3 million or 2 million or whatever the Man U.
Yeah. What was it? How much did they pay?
5 million.
I think we got 5 million in the end, which is a record fee, by the way, and the record fee that was set by Newcastle United when we paid 5 million to get Dan Ashworth to Newcastle. So basically, we got our money back, even though he didn't do the job, and we got it back within 5 months of him leaving.
Boys, he spent more time on gardening leave than he did in that job, mate. It's hilarious. It's absolute chaos at that club. All I heard about the summer, Ineos, Jim will fix it, has come in and what have you. Tell me what's changed, man. They didn't sack the manager. They spent over 200 million on players for him. Then they sack him, spend 17 million. But they've made cost cuttings because they've cancelled the Christmas party. And there's no more expenses for the staff now and what have you. So that should balance the books. I love this meltdown in their fan base, man, honestly. But
we can continue to talk about Forest just 1 second, because I want to go to Martin on this from a Mancunian perspective. What do you make of Man United at the moment? After all this stuff with Ashworth, obviously they brought Amarin in to try and turn the tide. It's going to take time with him, but it doesn't seem like he's had the manager bounce that people expected. Where do you see Man United at the moment, mate?
I mean, it's funny, but the one thing I will say, I do think United are in like a mini pre-season at the moment. I think they're going through like a mini pre-season during the season. I think Amarin's trying to just see who's available, best tactics, which players suit his tactics, etc. And then I think they will probably spend some money in Jan. I hope he doesn't do the usual and goes back to Sporting and just buys all their players. I mean, you can do that if you get the right. I think there are one or two players, Jacques Heimland or Diamande, whoever he wants to go and get there. But as long as he doesn't go and get 6, 7, 8 players, which I think would be a bad idea. I think 2 or 3, the top boys. I think they could do. But I think it's going to take time. They've got to be patient. Makes me laugh how they're laughing at us at the moment when they're sat there like 13th, 14th, or whatever it is, and they've got the gall to sit and have a laugh at us. You know what I mean? Our worst period in 4 years and we're still in the top 4. Their worst period and they're sat like, mid-table or just below. So they can hold that. It is what it is, but it means... No, they're not in a relegation fight. No, there's far 3 worse teams in them. Obviously, we've got them next week. The weekend, we'll see. Derby's our levelers. We'll see what happens.
Is it Old Trafford?
No,
Etihad.
Oh, you got that, mate. You got that.
The Etihad. Yeah, try and get a ticket there, mate.
I did.
No, at the Etihad. I didn't say empty. I said
it. Oh, it was empty on Wednesday. It was empty on Wednesday.
Yeah, but what do you expect when your club's charging you 50-odd quid minimum at 7:30 on a Wednesday night, 3 weeks before Christmas?
Well, the European 2-time winning champions are coming. What do you expect?
Yeah, so it wasn't very entertaining for us, and that's why we rolled you over.
Well, no one was there to watch it, mate.
You walked into that one, Wolfie. You walked into that one.
I mean, I was. I was there. The Great Notts Forest walked up and got their ass banked and went home again.
We may need to run this back at some point, that's for sure. But
we could be ahead of them next weekend.
Daz, Chris, I'll come to you with this one. Forest, we asked the question a good few weeks ago when they're in like really good form. They've obviously got a massive win at the weekend. Can they maintain this? Are they genuine European contenders this season? And I'll put this out there. We've just talked about with Rich and Villa, potentially 5th being Champions League. And if 5th is Champions League, it could be as low as 8th to get European football, potentially this season. So within that, are Forest in that European race?
As it looks now, they're in the same boat as Villa. I don't see any difference between them, apart from Villa having a Champions League to contend with as well. So yeah, they're in the mix for sure. They're in the mix for 5th spot, and they may drop down, but they've had a brilliant season so far. So you don't need to tell Wolfie that, and credit to them. I wish we were playing as well as Forest are and sitting in 5th spot, but all credit to Forest.
Yeah, fair play. Chris, what are your thoughts, mate?
I think Forest will be in and around the Europa Conference spot. I think they are in a chase for Europe, but I don't think they'll have enough for the Europa League or Champions League ultimately. I think it'll be around 8th spot. But as I've said to Wolfie previously, like that would be some
Huge.
achievement. It really, really would. And I think if they were to qualify for the Europa Conference, and in many ways, the Europa Conference is probably the perfect competition for them in terms of building next season, because we've all seen. I mean, it wouldn't be to this extent, but we've all seen what Chelsea have been like this season. Chelsea are like literally playing a complete different 11. And when you look, if Forest can get that squad depth and be able to rest a good few players because they're playing, some Scandinavian team, it's not going to impact them too much in the league as well. So it'll allow them to kind of kick on and progress. I'm not saying they can't get Europa League. I just think I look at the teams below them. I mean, just having a quick look there. So you've got ourselves, Tottenham, Man United, and Wolfie. Like I'm hoping, that we will, come back with a bit of a resurgence. I mean, we've been saying it for weeks now, and it has yet to happen. But I'm hoping that ourselves, and I imagine Tottenham and Man United, will both go into the January market, and who knows what will happen after that. But I think Forest could finish 8th, and I think if they do, it'd be a really, really good season. But if they carry on playing the way that they are, they're going to stay near the top ends, and then who knows what can happen. There's no reason why they can't finish higher up than 8th. But I just have a feeling they'll end up around 8th.
Yeah, I think for us, everyone's been talking about this December run that we've had or are having, and this will make or break it. And I do agree. We're playing a lot of decent teams in this run. And so far, I mean, I wanted 4 points out of the 6, got 3. I'll take it. If I was going to take an L, I'd rather take it against City than United for my own personal satisfaction. But I have to be, and I swear, I'm not saying this to troll you guys. Yeah. Elliot Anderson. He's a game changer, because he was out injured in those couple of weeks where we took a few L's. And then when we played you, he still wasn't fully fit. And him in that midfield against Man United was just sensational. And honestly, we had a debate yesterday on our channel, who's better, him or Morgan Gibbs-White. He's already elevated himself to at least be in that conversation. I still think Morgan Gibbs-White is better. But I think his biggest problem is he's so good in so many positions. He can play the 10 brilliantly, the 8 brilliantly.
Yeah.
He can go on the wing, fantastic. His defensive work and work rates are outstanding. And he's given us in that midfield. I called our midfield a donut midfield the other week without him when we had Yates and Dominguez in there. There was no one who, not only does he win the ball, but he can also dribble with the ball. He's got a good pass on him. And he's so young. And I just shudder to think how good he's going to be in a couple of years' time if he carries on like this. And I think he's the game changer for us in this run. He just needs to stay fit. And I'm saying with love, no troll. He's just next level, boys. Thank you again.
Do you know what was interesting, Wolfie? And we myself, Pete and Daz, we had this discussion many a time, didn't we, boys, about Elliot Anderson. We said that one of his downfalls could be the fact that he is so versatile.
Yeah.
If he was just a central midfielder and that was the only position he could play, he'd probably excel in it. But like you say, he can play in the 10, he can play in left wing. And I think as a manager, he's like a manager's dream, isn't he? Because he can fill in anywhere, but then maybe you lose that little bit of consistency or him kind of nailing down his position because you're like,
the bit there, Chris. That's the bit. I think because he doesn't nail down that position, because I think managers trust him. If they put him on the pitch, I think he could play in goal, honestly. He's that good, and his work rates are that amazing, and his commitment's that next level. And I think that's almost a bad thing. That's the only negative I have on him is, mate, I wish you were not as good in the 10 as you are in the 8. At least we know for sure you'd always be playing in the 8. He's quality, boys.
It will come, though. Like when a player between the ages of sort of 19 and 23, it's good for them to be versatile for the reasons that you've said. But from that onwards, you have to nail down a position. You have to then say at that point, you come together with the manager that summer and go, right, okay, this is where I'm going to play you this season. This is where you're going to play every week. You're not at that stage yet. I think that might well come next summer, because it may well be in that position where you get to the conversation. Now you've got Elliot Anderson. Now, do you want to cash in on Morgan Gibbs-White and get that money back and reinvest it elsewhere, which may well likely be the case. And so
I think that could accelerate, Pete.
Yeah, definitely. And then
I agree with Ali. He needs goals. If he gets a goal in the next week or two, I think his chest puffs out even more. Because that's the one thing missing from his game in terms of getting assists and the goals. Once that clicks, and I think it will click, I just think the sky's the limit with him. I really do.
I guarantee, though, if he was still at Newcastle, we still wouldn't play him.
He wouldn't be playing.
Would he go into your team now? Is my question. Having you
Look at
guys
him
haven't
now.
seen what he's done at Forest. Surely there's a spot in the midfield for him. I know you got some big names in there, but the balance looks wrong.
He would always be, for me, because I think this is Lewis Miley now, he was always going to be the replacement for Longstaff. And I do think there's some Newcastle fans out there talked to Fumby yesterday about it. He's adamant that Longstaff ain't going anywhere. I think Longstaff is, and I think he would have been the next one in that position. But I think the reason why it made it easier for us to sell Elliot Anderson is because we had Lewis Miley come through. And so therefore, because they play similar positions, it wasn't that, although it was hard for us to let him go because we know what his potential is like. We've got, but we've got Lewis Miley that I do believe when he finally gets into that first team, he can be of the same level. Already in the under-21s, he's 19 years old. He's in a great position now to go on and do what Elliot Anderson does. So although we've lost out on one, we've still got one left that can still come through. So it's not is the worst thing. But we knew. I said, didn't I say to you, Wolf, when you first signed him, I said, give him regular matches and you'll see what his ability is, and it's proven to be.
And I gotta give you credit, Pete. Everything you said in that preview video, whatever you would call it, scouting report on him, you were bang on the money, mate. So you lot watching, you need to stay tuned in to these boys because they know what they're talking about, despite their whole blinders towards Eddie Howe. Apart from that,
we'll get onto that in just a second. I know Mark have to go shortly, but I just want to get some thoughts on Man City because we don't always get a Man City representative. Because Martin, we always ask you, but and I know you're so busy that you're not always able to jump on. But you know, Man City going for a real rough patch at the moment. But the one thing that you mentioned earlier in a passing comment is that you won't be down there forever, and that you'll put a run together. Is that game this weekend then, the derby, Man United? Is that the one that's going to kickfire you back into gear and up the table again?
No idea. It depends on injuries at the minute. Our injuries are like yours from last season. You've sort of passed on the curse to us now, which is always nice. I've had enough of injuries this year. Injuries are the bane of my life at the minute. It's like Wednesday night, you get your back four perfect. Kanji right back, Gavardio, Ake, Diaz, and you're like, yeah, Jack in the middle. And then 50% of your defence goes down again. Jack gets injured again. Doku's not fully fit again. You're just like, I've had enough. I've had enough of this season already. We need to get players back. We need to get to January. Yeah. I'm not going to talk about what's being mooted at the moment because you
don't talk about it because it's out there. It's out there.
I ain't mentioning now anymore, Pete. I'm off that train.
You've already reported on it, so you might as well bring it up.
Well, as you know, it's come from your end. It is now from your end, this one. Eddie Howe didn't shoot it down. I do think Bruno will end up at City. I think more the summertime. It depends where your finances are. If you want to go spend it in January, as Eddie Howe said, you got to sell. And if City come in with the offer in Jan, we'll see what happens.
For anyone that's just watching now and you don't know what we're on about, there has been a report in The Athletic that there's been noises that Newcastle are open to selling Bruno in January to Man City. Man City are interested in him. We know what Pep's situation is. The only thing I disagreed on, and this is up for discussion, Daz, Chris, you may or may not have seen this.
No, I haven't seen it.
There is the money is rated around I think it's 80 million euros, which works out to about
I don't see it being that low. I think more pounds, Pete. More pounds.
Yeah. Straight cash deal, no player exchange. Because I saw Nunes there last week. Because that's a non-starter.
No, City won't do exchanges. We do.
it might be. He did say it wasn't guaranteed that was the actual price, and that it could be more. For me, it has to be more. If what I think Newcastle will sell him for is probably not what other people would think he would be sold for, but look, I'll give my opinion in a bit, but you boys react to that potential Bruno to Man City.
It's an interesting one. You're right, Pete. I hadn't seen anything about it. 80 million euros sounds too cheap to me, because ultimately, like you say, it's probably low 70s, isn't it? And I think with Bruno being given the captaincy this season, you know, that in itself kind of signifies his importance to Newcastle. But you know, if the cold hard cash is put on the table, I think, you know, Martin will know, because we've been speaking about it for so long. You know, we are clearly hamstrung when it comes to being able to sign players. And we've spoken, haven't we, in recent months about the fact that, you know, we may have to sell one of our blue chip players. And I don't think anybody on here or anybody in the chat would say that they want Bruno to go. But on the other hand, I agree with what you said the other night, Pete, in that the one player we cannot let go is Alexander Isak. And in order to keep Alexander Isak and keep the existing players happy, if it means we've got to let someone go in order to then go and spend and upgrade, you know, so be it. And I think as well, another thing, which I never thought I'd say because I didn't see it like this, but I think in Sandro Tonali, we heard rumours, didn't we, that Sandro Tonali was bought with the premise that he was going to replace Bruno, and that the idea wasn't to play them together. It was for Sandro to kind of come in and be the new Bruno. We've seen against Liverpool, Sandro and Bruno played reasonably well, but then we've seen many games where they haven't. I say many. We've seen games where they haven't played that well together, and I think of the likes of Gordon, Isak, and Bruno, I think Anthony Gordon's just signed a brand new deal. Alexander Isak, as we've said, we really cannot afford to let go. And apparently in the summer, he was the non-negotiable. He was the one that was never up for consideration. I think it kind of makes sense. And if City put really good money on the table, I think we've got to listen. And for me, the price that I would sell Bruno for, if, you know, City came to the table, I'd want nothing less than 85 million. Really, I'd be looking for 90, but the minimum would be 85 million, because I think we should at least double our money, because I think he's worth it. And ironically, I wouldn't be angry or upset if Bruno went, because, you know, I'd be pleased that he's going to such a big club, and, you know, I think he'd kick on and do well. I'd be disappointed to see him playing for another Premier League club, but at the same time, I'd thank him for what he's done. And I would then be looking forward to then bringing in 2, 3, 4 players, which will help the squad as a whole. So that's my thoughts on it.
Can I just say, Pete, because the weird thing about this hasn't even come out the city, and this has all come from your end. It was your end who's done the initial reports, because all the local journals down here it was from the Northeast journalists where this was all coming out of. Now I got a call from people up there, and they said about 3-4 weeks ago, and they said, "Oh, you heard about Bruno?" And I went, "No, it's over. You know, it's done." Because we were all thinking Zubimendi, Edison, sort of that sort of area. And then all of a sudden, and Craig Hope comes out with his line, and then there was others, and then Sam Leaf was mentioning yesterday about that fee for the Athletic. And then I started getting whispers the other day of it's Newcastle who've come back, not us. Which actually, because obviously I thought this was going to happen in the summer, found out the major sticking point was Pep hadn't signed a deal. Cheeky had gone, because the idea was in the summer, Pep and Cheeky were both going. That was the belief in the summer, that Pep was done. Cheeky was going, as we all knew. But I think this Pep signing a new deal, he's been signed on the premise is that he will get 1 or 2 people he wants. And Guardiola is absolutely in love with Bruno. Absolutely loves the guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely loves him. I think he's got a poster of him up on the wall. He's in love with him that bloody much.
I saw something reported Pep pretty much demanded that Bruno was on that list.
Yeah, I've been told this is part of it, and City will go at around. Don't think they'll go 85. I think 80 is the max they'll go. I don't see Newcastle turning 80 down. I don't, because I think Newcastle. I think your mate there was spot on. I think Tonali is the guy. You've got cover to cover into that midfield, whereas you selling Isak, all your money will have to go back in. You're not going to get that money to buy an Isak player. There's not another Isak set on the market, if you know what I mean.
No.
For that sort of money again. And the problem is, I know, because I've talked to a couple of Newcastle mates of mine, and they were like, well, we can sell Wilson, we can sell this, but you're only going to make about 40 or 50 million on them players.
Yeah.
And you've sold 5 of them to get that amount of money. So you're going to need to buy more than 2 or 3 players, and it isn't actually going to help you. You need to get a big one out. And Bruno, like you said, is the only one where you've got enough cover. I mean, you said it, Lewis Miley. You said it, you've got Tonali. I'm totally astonished Tonali doesn't get more game time. I'm still not sure it happens. We'll have to see. I think it's going to be more of a summer deal. I think you'll get less in the summer. City won't pay 80 in the summer because there'll be better values of deals out there for younger players because they'll be 28 come the summer. I don't think you'll get 80 to come the summer. I think to get the most bang for your buck, selling wise, would be Jan, but the ball's obviously in your court at that point.
Martin, do you think that City's current form makes it more likely that City go for them? Do you think Pep will demand them and say, listen, I need Bruno? Or do you think that it's more likely that maybe you'll look to strengthen elsewhere in the squad?
No, it will be midfield. It's 100% midfield. That we're gonna do 100% midfield. Because the thing with Bruno is he can do 6 and an 8, so it doesn't affect Rodri when he comes back. You get a Zubimendi, he's a straight 6. But what do you do with Zubimendi when Rodri's back? That's the problem.
I see him as a Gundo replacement because Gundo coming back, he has not been good for you. Being honest,
or a Kovacic, he could take a Kovacic role or something like that.
And I would be surprised, Martin, as part of your rebuild, that both of those players leave. That Gundo goes and Kovacic goes, and then you get Bruno in, and maybe one other as part of your replacement. And it's what it brings. It brings that dynamic, like kind of creativity that you guys.
Well, the news is 2. The news is 2. 1 Jan, 1 summer.
Yeah. Well,
I think you guys.
Go on, Wolfie.
No, I was just from an outsider looking in. I think, Chris, you're getting caught up with the pounds and pennies too much. 80, 85, it doesn't really matter. You can do a lot with 80 million when you put it into amortization, PSR, because you will get 80 mil straight up. But if you go and buy a 50 million player on a 5-year contract, technically that's only cost you 10 mil. You can get quite a few players with it. So I wouldn't get too caught up in it. My concern on Bruno has been his form this season. I think he's been quite inconsistent. And I get what you're saying, that Tonali can come in and straight replace him and what have you. But there is a quality player there. And is he 28, 29 now?
Bruno's 27. It'll be 28 by the summer. It'll be 28 by the summer.
It's not a bad time to get rid of him. Losing one player to strengthen. You need strengthening in a lot of departments. This sorts your PSR issues. I can see this as a deal that suits all parties.
Yeah. Doesn't suit me, that's for sure.
Well, Man City is the only team that I would feel even remotely comfortable him going to in the Premier League. For me, I'd rather him go abroad. But him playing for Pep, like it just makes sense.
Yeah.
And you can't not allow that player to move on if he wants to move. And I think he'd want to move at that point. I think if we're not getting European football or Champions League at the most, European at the least, then I think he's going to move on. So for me, I just think it may well be something that comes to fruition, but I just don't see it in January. I think it'll be a real bold move by Newcastle to agree to sell him in January, and they must have somebody else already lined up. And that's where, for me, because I'm exactly the same as you, Chris. When the lads put it in the other chat this morning, the first thing I said was 85 million. I thought that's my realistic fee that I think that he'd be sold for. I think Newcastle would push for 90, But I think 85 is where they'd probably do the deal. But I think Newcastle would push for more if it was January. I think they're not going to let him go easily, and they're not going to make it look like they've let him go easy. So they'd probably ask for a bit more. And I think because of the desperation, if there was a deal to be done, I genuinely think Man City would pay it. I do in January.
Well,
I do.
City won't go anywhere near 100. City won't go near 100.
No, I'm talking about like sort of 90.
No, they won't even go 90. What I've been told is 80 is the max. You'll go.
Yeah, I think you guys getting.
And then it's whether you're willing to lose out on 5 mil. Because, like you said, 80 million quid on PSI, you can times that by 5. On what you can
or you can Niall's on the button. Definitely on that one. We'll take that deal.
But Pete, the thing is, you need to strengthen in January, don't you? I mean, yes, you've got the money that you had for Marcus Gay lined up and the bloody 50 million we should have nicked off you. But if you are that close to PSR,
well,
you're going to have to sell in Jan. I think it could be a Jan one.
See, I personally, I don't think we are. Well, Newcastle United, ever since we've had this takeover, is this idea that we're close to PSR. We were because we overspent the previous summer, that wrapped around to this summer, that put us in a difficult position. However, you cannot not spend, in a summer window and then already be in with PSR. We haven't spent anything. We're in a new year.
No, I don't think you're in. I think it's what the money you want to spend, Pete. I think it's the money you need to spend is you haven't got that, is what they're saying. I don't think you're close to PSR. You didn't. I think you could spend 20, 30 mil and you'd be all right, but 20, 30 mil is not going to get you where you need to be or where you want to be. You want to spend 100, 150. I think that's what they're saying is you haven't got that leeway to go.
And that's the thing. So, like, if we were going to put 20, 30 million down or more down on a January window, we'd need to get a couple of sales out. And this is where I think for us as Newcastle fans, we're kind of understanding the situation, because you're looking at, we're not looking to sell a star in January, but Miguel Almiron, Kieran Trippier, potentially Wilson, or someone of that like, throw Longstaff in there. If a deal could be done for any one of those 4 players or more than one of those players, I think we'd do it. And we wouldn't get the big money in, but it would be money enough to cover us on top of the money that we're willing to spend in January. The Bruno money is for a summer rebuild. That would allow us in the summer to properly rebuild the team. And I think that's where maybe Newcastle, just in my opinion, that's where I think Newcastle are looking right now. They've got money to spend, but they want to get rid. I mean, we have to. We've got a full 25-man squad, so somebody's got to leave. So if we're bringing a couple in, 2 have got to leave at the very least. And so we'd shift those players that we've been trying to, the Miggies and 1 or 2 others of the fringe. And then in the summer, if Bruno or someone like that does go, that's going to finance the proper build that we didn't have this summer. If that makes sense.
Can I ask you boys a question on that? Yeah, which manager will be green lighting this move come January, or red lighting it?
I didn't think we'd get to this, but yeah.
Oh, no, hang on. Well, we want to stay with Man City for a second, because Martin, I want to go to this question that Niall asked. With the hearing drawn to a close, he asked, have you heard anything? Is there any kind of leaks coming from the 115 case?
No, the news I've had is all positive. It's why City signed. It's why Pep signed a 2-year deal. It's all positive. I don't think they'll do anything. But listen, all this relegation talk's a lot of garbage. It's a lot of garbage. They ain't going to relegate us anywhere. The only thing I think we'll get found guilty on is non-cooperation, and they'll fine us. And that's it. I don't see us. I don't see him doing anything. I don't think from the news I'm hearing, it's all positive. City are quite confident. They've not been able to find the smoking gun, as they want to call it, or whatever. It's all hearsay, but some maybes. Lord Panic apparently has done a fabulous job on it, and we'll say. But I don't think you'll hear an outcome till probably maybe next year, next season, maybe. I don't think you'll hear anything, because this is a long process. This is not just. I know the hearings concluded today, but that was just closing debates and everything. Lord Panic had done all his bit weeks ago.
So if it's all
But I
positive,
think
why are you
we're fine.
dragging it out till next year then?
It's
We're not dragging it out. It's not.
them.
We're not dragging it out.
It's the courts, isn't it?
It's where you got to go. When you get charged with so many things on repeat charges, it's like being charged 115 times for murder. It doesn't take 5 minutes, does it?
You got to remember, Wolfie, that just remember how long it's took to get to this point. It took years and years to get to this point. It's going to take a while for any sort of because they're going to.
And a lot of it's backdated. This is what no one sees. It's 5 main charges, and it's all been backdated. It's all been backdated to even before FFP was even a thing. So I don't know how the Premier League are going to get around that one because we're charging us for something that wasn't even available.
You really
Well, you've got no evidence. No evidence.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Have you got some evidence? Have you got a legal degree there, or I don't know
I was
about?
asking, I was just like, no smoke without fire and all that stuff.
Wow.
That's more hope. That's more hope, Wolfie, than
I wouldn't be surprised, mate. A few oil money brown envelopes exchanging places, and
Let's be clear here. We should be all in the same boat right now with the Premier League. Surely we should be all.
Yeah.
I can't stand the Premier League. Yeah, I can't stand them.
I'm surprised I'm hearing this from a Forest fan, considering the way your club are moving. But never mind.
Well, I'm just saying, man. If they're gonna come after us, they need to come after everyone. So.
No, because it's very different. You got done for overspending. We've not been done for overspending.
And you've been done for cooking the books.
Allegedly.
Yeah. We're not going to get into that today. But Martin, I know you've got to shoot. Absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming on, mate.
It's me, man.
No worries, mate. Take care.
Take care, mate.
Take care.
Eric, you lot are not shooting off until we have
No.
discussion.
Come on. We're here now.
Right. I want to start with Chris. I feel like he's the weak link. He's the closest one to the edge of the cliff right here. Chris, mate, what's going on with your boy Eddie? Talk to me. There's no one watching. We're just talking as mates now. Yeah.
Wolfie, mate.
4-2. That was horrific.
Yeah, it was. Especially because the first half time 2-2. And Pete and I were speaking on the phone and saying we were encouraged. We were thinking second half, short it up at the back, carry on as we are. We'll inevitably go on and win it. And second half came and went, and we were a shadow of our former selves. But this is becoming a regular thing, Wolfie. This is it's like Jekyll and Hyde, first half, second half. Sometimes it's the other way around, but it's just really frustrating, and it's the consistency. The consistency is killing me, mate. I'll be honest. We just we slide down the table. I mean, look, we were talking before about Villa, weren't we? Villa have had 2 back-to-back wins, and look where they are. And this is the frustrating thing. It's the fact that if you go on a run of 2 or 3 wins, all of a sudden things are looking rosy again. And this is the difficulty. Do
you feel there's? And I'd mean this with no disrespect. Do you feel there's a little bit of Spursiness this season about Newcastle? You seem to be getting up for the big matches, your Forests, your Arsenals, and what have you. And then when you come to the minion teams, those are the ones that you've been throwing away. Is that managers, that players, is it both? It feels Spursy.
This is what we were discussing. And we've heard in recent days, we've heard it from a club legend, Alan Shearer. We've heard the word mentality and attitudes being mentioned an awful lot. And as fans, we look at it and we remember the Arsenal game, the Chelsea game, going to your gaff as well. Very, very difficult game. Players will bang up for it. Executed the game plan perfectly. But then we'll play against a Palace, we'll play against an Everton, we'll play against a Fulham and Brentford, and we just don't turn up. And so you obviously, as fans, we're questioning the manager, then we're questioning the players. Is it a mix of both? Have the players lost faith in Eddie? Is Eddie not doing what he needs to be doing behind the scenes? This is the complication, Wolfie.
I refuse to believe that team I saw at the City Ground is the same team that is playing like it is. It looked well oiled there.
Yeah.
Well, it's the best team we've played this season.
Yeah.
And we went away to Man City. I still think you played better. I just can't believe what I've seen of your boys over the last few weeks, apart from when you're playing another, in a Big Six team and what have you.
Yeah.
It must be, you should be pulling your hair out. I think that's more frustrating than just knowing you're crap. When you're crap, you can live with it.
You crap.
You live with it. You know your player's not good enough, the manager's not good enough, whatever. But when you've seen performances like you guys have had this season, that for me is just unacceptable because the standards are being dropped.
That's why it's pissed us off.
Yeah.
We see Chelsea in the cup, Arsenal at home, you boys away, and then we've said it before. Yeah, we're back. We know what we're getting. Then we get West Ham and Palace, and we think, right, okay, we're back in the shit again. And then all of a sudden you see Liverpool, and you're like, hope's there, and then you see the second half at Brentford, and you're like. And I hate the fact that you've said it, Wolfie, but I can't argue it when you make the reference of Spursy. It annoys the hell out of me that you're saying that, but actually I can't not agree with you because it is. We can't ridicule and laugh at Spurs for what they did.
Yeah,
when we did exactly the same, albeit we weren't 2-0 up against Brentford, but we gifted them goals. And we were in positions when we were putting it back level pretty quickly after we conceded in the first half. Our goals were well worked, well organised, they were good finishes, and then their 2 goals were gifts. And you're like, okay, back to 2-2, like Chris said, half time, confident we can go on and win this, when surely not going to make the same mistakes again. Surely. Well, we did twice, and we screw ourselves out. And now I've never seen so much panic going into this game on Saturday for, a game against Leicester. They got a draw at home to Brighton under that new manager bounce. But lads, it's Leicester.
They're poor.
There's genuine panic in the fan base that we're not going to win that game at home. It's not like we're going to the King Power. That's the thing that worries me is actually, if we're feeling like that, is that what the players are feeling like? And if that's the case, then I don't know what to expect.
So and it's the cup game as well. The cup game is absolutely massive. Like we need to beat Leicester at home, and because to get our season rebooted again. I don't know how many times we had to reboot it already, and then the cup game is just absolutely massive, just to save our season, to have something to show for it in a way.
Honestly, that game, that cup game, and I don't know what you boys think about this. That's the one I'm most confident about.
Yeah,
I
think we'll turn up
because they'll get up first. Is it like the Liverpool game?
It's a big game, and the boys.
You got Liverpool.
No, we've got Brentford at home.
Brentford. Oh, God. Okay.
But this is the thing. We know Brentford concede loads of goals. We could have had 5 or 6 in the first half.
Yeah.
So they're going to bring that to St. James's Park. Our boys will be up for it, and I'm confident that we'd win. But this is part of the problem, is that fans are already picking the games where they know we're going to get a performance, like we did Liverpool, like we did Forest, like we did Arsenal, and we're already predicting Brentford. Yeah, Chelsea. We're already predicting Villa on Boxing Day because it's considered a big game, and it's like, but then the other games, it's like Leicester at home, Ipswich away.
Ipswich away, I am so not confident for that. I'm so not confident for that.
And it should be the other way around. And it's
but I
how have we got to this point? How have we got to this point? This is an absolute joke. And I'm sorry, right? I know you're talking about Eddie Howe, and yes, Eddie Howe deserves to kind of brunt a significant part of this responsibility. But I'm sorry, those attitudes of those players on that pitch is not Eddie Howe. It's not down to Eddie Howe. It's down to those players deciding whether they want to run for a ball or not. They're deciding whether they want to track back at the rate that they did against Liverpool or not, because we know they can do it. They did it against Liverpool. They're all tracking back and forth for 90-odd minutes, ran themselves into the ground. Why are you not doing that away at Brentford? Because I tell you what, if we'd have done that, we wouldn't have lost that game. And the attitude of those players...
Why is he not installing that into them? Those players that aren't running around, he should be hooking them.
Well, that's an argument, and that does lay with Eddie Howe. I agree with that. But when he sets those teams up, he's not setting Joe Linton up to run round like half-arsed for the majority of the game. Our all action bulldozer is running around half-arse. That doesn't fill you with confidence. When you've got wingers that are just arms up in the air and they're just kind of trudging back and not really running back. You've got players that are not looking at men that need to be marked, or you've got a centre-back going half-arse to win a header and it misses him, and then their centre-back goes through and makes it 3-2. Like, that's not on Eddie Howe. That's the player's attitude in the game. That's where you got question mark. When you've got a goalkeeper that flings a foot at that goal, I'm not going to go back into that again because I know how annoyed Chris will get with that, but quite rightly, and then goes 35 yards out to the side with the ball at his feet, takes a generation to kick the ball and ends up losing it, and could have and should have been punished for it and was lucky he didn't. You know, that isn't Eddie Howe. And we have to be really, really clear on that. That is not Eddie Howe. That is the players. So this is where my argument's been, is that the players need to share that responsibility, because they, as much as we love some of these players, they are responsible at times for the poor performances that we're seeing. But Eddie Howe does need to share some of that blame, and ultimately he'll be the one responsible for it, because as you keep saying, Wolfie, and we've talked about as well, if they keep putting in performances like that, he will lose his job.
You can't sack 25 players, you can sack one manager. So come on, where are you boys at? Serious talk now.
Can I jump in for a second? Okay.
Yeah.
Go Dapper.
I
don't know why I'm saying yeah, but go.
I'm still back on that. That I didn't see that news about Bruno to Man City. If that fucking happens, I'm going to be fucking raging. I'm going to be absolutely raging. I'm doing a show on my own, lads. He can do the logical show of why it makes sense. I'm doing a rant for half an hour. I'd be that pissed off. And I know. Fuck that, like.
I can't believe it's taken 30 minutes to compute for you.
No. I couldn't get a chance to get in, and I'm just fucking raging over that. Just, you know, I know we should be trading, and it does make sense, but trading with Bruno in January doesn't make any fucking sense to me. And if that was to happen, I think rip it all up. Rip everything up. Keep Hall, keep Tino, keep Miley, keep Tonali, keep Isaac. Everyone else, including the manager, gone. It can't happen overnight, but you rebuild. It's a total rebuild. Then for me, I keep Botman as well. If that's
so you're saying Eddie out?
Gotta keep Sven.
No, look at you have been kept up to date. I'm not saying Eddie out, but what I'm saying is change in for the time. For where's the pictures gone? I can't get to it now.
The fixtures.
Yeah, I've been saying the fixtures here. That December is massive. We've drawn with Liverpool. We've got beaten by Brentford. Like these two games coming up, Leicester and Brentford, are absolutely massive. Even before we get to Ipswich. Like we have to show that we're still in contention in the league, and we have to stay in the League Cup. So we need 2 wins before we get anywhere else. And I'm not saying Eddie out yet, but I'm getting closer to it. And
you closer than Chris. You're closer than Chris.
I'm getting closer than Chris. I think at this stage.
Bloody hell! Breaking news.
What you guys said.
Is Bruno more likely to do this in January? Is Bruno more likely to do this?
Why would he want to drop to a bottom half team, Foxy? Come on, let's be logical here, right? Let's be logical. He's playing Europe next season. So Chris, is this true? Dad's now closer on the old fence tipping that way than you are.
I don't know.
We're sharing the fence at the moment.
Yeah, we can sit on the fence together, Daz. I mean, do you know what? I think Pete summed it up really, really well, because ultimately he's right. It is on the players. I think we all know it is the players, and the fact that Eddie's coming out and saying about the mentality and the attitudes. So clearly he's not happy, because you won't know this, Wolfie, but in I'd say the last week, maybe week or so, like Eddie's come out with his press conferences and he's saying stuff that's just not like Eddie Howe. He's making mistakes. He's being questioned, about some of the. Well, he says they're not excuses, but he's still saying it. And to me, it's almost like he's grasping at straws. And I think it's because he's incredibly disappointed and upset at how the players are seemingly throwing him under a bus. But ultimately, it is the players who are going to cost Eddie his job. And it's sad, and it's a sad indictment of where we are. But that is the reality. Eddie Howe won't lose his job if the players are playing well and if the players are playing for them. And your argument, Wolfie, like you said, in the players have got to be up for it for Eddie Howe. And if the players have lost faith in Eddie Howe, there's only one way he's going to go. There's only one way.
I just think, boys, do you not think, objectively speaking, I'm not putting anyone on the spot here, but if it's going to happen, and I just feel like eventually it is going to happen, be it tomorrow or be it February or the end of the season, should you not just rip the plaster off?
It does, Wolfie, and I mentioned this the other day, and when we were having a bit of another therapy session, I said to the boys at the end of my little 2-minute rant, my problem is I can't see the path we're on, and I can't see this going away. I can't see it going away. Even if we win 2 or 3 games on the bounce, I genuinely think it'll return. I genuinely think we're going to see these performances that we've seen this season again and again and again. It's going to reach a point where they go, we can't do it anymore. We just can't.
This is why this run is so crucial, and I'll put it out there on the review show. I said these next 4 games are must win. We have to win all 4 of them to give us any type of confidence that we're going to be able to turn the tide. And the reason why these games are so crucial, more so than any of the other 4 games previous, is because it fits right into what's then turned into the January window. So if you're going into that January window with wins on your 4 wins on your belt, and then hopefully something at Old Trafford before the turn of the year, what that then does is allows us to then kick on, and a new player bounce will hopefully come soon after that. Because other than Tottenham in January, other than Tottenham away, which is our first game, we've got Bromley, we've got I think we've got Fulham at home. I think we've got Bournemouth at home, and I think we've got Wolves at home, all within that January period. So we've got winnable games in January.
Yeah, Pete, I feel like you've been saying that all season, mate.
No, and we have. This is why this run of games is so crucial. We want to be bouncing into the new year, knowing that we've got semi-final to play. We want to be bouncing into the new year, knowing that a win against Leicester, a win against Ipswich away from home, which has been our issue, and a win against Villa on Boxing Day puts us back in the mix, because we've already said 2 or 3 wins can completely change your fortune. You look at Villa. Villa hadn't won for 8. They've won back-to-back 2. Now they're on the same points as you, sitting in 6th place. So who's to say that 3 wins for us in the league doesn't project us back into that position? And then the conversation is so different. It's a different conversation.
Do you not take Chris's point that even if that happens, it will happen again?
And that's where the January window comes in. That's why I'm saying it's crucial, because the January window, and all the journalists have been saying it, to be fair, we can see it. We are missing that new, fresh face coming in that offers something different. The
first teamer. It's got to be a first teamer. Has to be.
Absolutely. I think too. And could that coming in, coinciding with the run of hopefully wins that we get between that will be the difference. If we sit in, and like Dad said, if we sit in, we're sitting going back, just about to go into the new year, and we've got 2 or 3 losses on our belt, I do think ripping off that band-aid may well be a consideration for the board. I genuinely think that.
But no, but hang on a sec. Just one sec. If we look at the timing of it, right? You have the Leicester game, the Brentford game, and that Ipswich game. If we were going to make a change, if the PIF were thinking about making a change, and after losses here, I don't want that, and I want Eddie in. But this is the time to do it, because if you leave it any longer, you're into Christmas. You're into the transfer window is open. You don't go changing the manager when the transfer window is open. You don't have Eddie Howe given the final say or the final thumbs up on the signings coming in. That's just stupid. Yeah. If we get past the Ipswich game and Eddie's still there and we've won games, Eddie's there for the rest of the season, and he should be. But so that's why these games coming up are so important for everything to keep going till at least the summer.
Do you know the only thing? I take your point, Daz. I do take your point. Do you know the only thing that makes me question that slightly? I see where you're coming from, but do you not think that, say, I don't know, say we lost to Ipswich, so we got knocked out. We beat Leicester, we got knocked out the Carabao Cup, and we lost to Ipswich, right? So two losses on the bounce, and then we press the button, sack Eddie Howe, new manager comes in 22nd, 23rd. I don't think that new manager will have any say over that January transfer window. I think Paul Mitchell will be like, yeah, you're in, but this is on me. This window's mine. And I think the targets have already been lined up. They know who they want. Eddie's probably given a sign of approval and whatnot. But I think the club will say to Paul Mitchell, right, now's your time to shine. Go and get.
The only thing with that, Chris, is then you won't get the manager. That's the issue with that. Managers will always need reassurances on transfer windows.
Who's to say that
you're
not getting the manager until the summer?
But you'd waste a window. You'd waste a window. I agree with Jazz on this.
But I think if Eddie Howe gets sacked before January, and obviously we don't want that, of course.
No,
we don't want that to happen. If that was a scenario that ended up happening for Newcastle United, I don't think we'd go out and sign or make the type of signings that we would if Eddie Howe was here. I think we'd maybe get signings of loan signings or signings that would see us through to the end of the season, move players on, and then they would take the bulk of that money for a new manager in the summer. You look at what West Ham are rumoured to be apparently doing, regardless of this game tonight, whether they win, lose, or draw. Lopetegui's gone and Graham Potter's coming in, but it's not a long-term deal, apparently. It's only till the end of the season.
Potter?
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. Is that?
I thought it was Moyes. I heard Moyes.
No, Moyes was the rumour. That was the rumour.
That's lawless ones.
But apparently, and to be fair, after Lawless put the tweet out,
he deleted it.
I don't know if he deleted it, but he came into one of the chats later, and he I'd already read it, but he'd said about he'd heard that Potter was in regardless, and he was going to be in until the end of the season. So I would see Newcastle maybe doing something different for 6 months, going with a manager to tie us over, or a manager coming in and say, right, you've got 6 months, show us what you're about, and if you do a good job, we'll consider maybe a longer term deal and moving on from that. I can see that being the one, because what you want is a manager to come in knowing that they've got money to spend. And this is the thing. Like we talked about it before, Chris, with some of the managers that have been rumoured, or managers that we think might well be a target. And that's absolutely fine. But they've got to know, if we want the caliber of manager that we keep talking about, they are managers that want to know that they've got money to spend.
True.
Holding it off for January might not be good for us, and we might have a really, really difficult season here where we are literally finishing mid-table. But if it allows us to get a top manager to come in with money to spend, it allows us to have a really good start with that manager and potentially kick us on. And that's without the news being breaking about potential new stadium and new sponsors that could change the fortunes of the club as well. I just think that might be
I still think Daz is on the right kind of path. What he was saying, for me, if I was a Geordie, I'd be looking at this thinking either he has to go before the window, or you just don't change him and you just stomach.
There's no point in changing him.
There's no point, because like you're just going to end up where you're going to end up. Even a new manager, he'll come in, players won't improve that much, then it'll be a bad feeling towards the new manager off the bat. That would be my worry of it. I think you have to pull the trigger either now or never. Well, not now as in today, but you know what I'm saying, before the window opens.
That's why these couple of games.
I think most fans think he's staying to the end of the season.
Oh, goal West Ham.
Yeah, Souček.
Goal West Ham, Stoke.
Such a poor goal as well.
Stoke FC, another corner goal.
Yeah.
So is Gary O'Neill gone then? After this,
he's gone.
Is the PE teacher you call him?
PE teacher, mate. PE teacher. He should have been gone long ago. I was hoping to survive until the end. I think we've got him at the end of the month, but not going to happen.
West Ham win, they go point behind us.
Oh, Eddie's got to go, mate.
Go on,
West Ham get in front of you. Eddie's got to go.
Shit, that isn't it? That is so shit.
That's embarrassing.
Whoa.
Right, boys, I think we'll end it there. end it there, or just say something positive. End it on a positive, please. Oh,
Forest beat Man U.
yes, they did. Joe, not for me.
Mate,
No, I don't think so.
I
Jose's
cannot.
past it, man.
Do you know what? I know maybe it's a nostalgic, romantic thing. I don't know. I genuinely think Jose would be brilliant. I do. I really, really do.
In the press conference, but let's not. His style of football is negative.
Yeah, his style of football is probably a bit dated and whatever. Do you know what, Wolfie? And I won't turn this into a big rant, but I said ages ago, I think Jose Mourinho has signed up to the wrong clubs. I think he's made a mistake and he's gone to the wrong clubs, because Jose Mourinho always commands respect everywhere he goes. When he went into that Man United dressing room, bad mistake. Then he goes to Tottenham, equally, a lot of prima donnas, a lot of big personalities, bad mistake. If he came into Newcastle, you can imagine the talk, like the his first speech. Look at what he's won. Our players haven't won anything. And him coming in and saying, just listen to what I say, and listen to what I do. I think they'd all run through a wall for him. And, the whole Sir Bobby thing. And I know you shouldn't hire a manager based on, previous history and stuff like that. But it's almost like, Bobby was desperate to win something at Newcastle. And you can guarantee Jose Mourinho was going to put everything into it. Absolutely everything.
Chris, your board calls you tomorrow and they say to you, we need you to make the decision.
Don't say
Eddie Howe right now,
no.
and we're guaranteeing you Jose comes through the door. What are you saying?
What about St. Maximin with him as well?
Oh, hold on.
Good deflection, mate. Good deflection.
Now we're talking.
Oh, mate. Imagine.
No.
Oh.
He's now falling off that fence a bit.
I absolutely love Jose Mourinho. He's one of my favorite ever managers in football. I absolutely love him. But I love 2003 to 2014 Jose Mourinho.
Special one.
Not after that. Because what I love, like I say, the press conferences, the talk, everything about it. Yeah. I don't love what I'm seeing on the pitch from him, and that's the only thing. I think that I genuinely think Newcastle fans would love him, but hate his football, and I think there'd be a clash there. Just my personal opinion. But look, Eddie Howe's still here. Yeah, we're going to win the next 4 games.
Yeah, well,
so we don't need to worry about any of this that we just discussed, because that's what we're going.
And you know what? We're going to talk a bit more about this tomorrow. Actually, stay tuned to Loaded tomorrow. We're going to have a show tomorrow on this. So on this very thing, not Jose, just everything related. But that's it. Thanks, Wolfie, and thanks all the lads that joined us as well. See you in the next one. Good night, everyone.
Take care, people.
Bye-bye.